Quick story before we get out of here. I think this is important because another thing I think a lot of kids don't consider is we're kind of selfish. I was too. I mean, it's not just you guys. We make decisions about our lives without considering there's other people involved. In our support group, mom, dad, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, people who love us deeply. And we make decisions where we don't consider those people. So I want you to hear how that decision affects people. Before I came to the school here, I worked in a group called the Lake County Major Crime Unit. All we did was investigate homicides. That's the death of one person at the hands of another. That's all I did for almost 10 years. Almost 100 homicides, officer-involved shootings, pretty serious crimes, all throughout the county, right? One of our calls, when I started putting this program together, one of the things that I had to do just hit home. Because I had the terrible task of, for some reason, I was chosen in my unit to make death notifications, which means I go to the house of families whose loved ones were killed, and I tell them, person was killed. The reason I have to do that is, to solve a homicide, one of the biggest rules is you got to know the victim. You got to know everything about him. Because if you know everything about the victim, quite often you're going to find the offender. Okay? So not only did I have to go and take these people the worst news they ever had to hear, but then I had to interview them and learn everything I could about the victim. So we get this call, young man found dead in a field, parent victim of a drug overdose. They'd been in the field for hours and hours because something had eaten at his legs. It was cold outside. His ears had turned kind of black because your blood's not flowing anymore, so your body doesn't produce its own heat. So the ears are turned black in color. His nose was black from frostbite, things like that. So we get his ID. Now I'm going to a house. It's 3:30 in the morning. And as I turn around the corner down in this block on this street, I can tell you from a block away what house I'm going to because all the lights are on. Because you won't get this until you're a parent. I can't sleep till my kids are home, till they're in my house, till I know they're safe. So like a beacon, I turn the light on and say, like, here it is. This is where you'll be safe. Come here. And sure enough, I drive down the street, and that's the house I'm going to. Pull in the driveway. I walk up, dressed just like I am now. Khakis, polo shirt, the badge, the gun, that exact same jacket. That's what I went to the house in. I knock on the door, and Dad comes running, not walking. I can hear the man running through the house to the door. He blasts the door open, and what does he see? It's not his son. It's not a friend of his son. It's the police. And immediately his face goes white. The blood goes out of his face, and he stands there. Now, you know why his face goes white? Because I'm going to tell you something, guys. The cops never come to your house at 3:30 in the morning with good news, ever. I don't come there to tell you win the lotto. I don't come there to tell you how great your kid is. I never come to your house with good news at 3:30 in the morning. And I will never forget until the day I die, he didn't say, what's up, officer? Can I help you? He didn't say that. The only words the man uttered to me was, how bad is it? That's what he said to me. I'll never forget it. How bad is it? He knew. He knew I wasn't supposed to be there. So I don't want to tell him alone. I want to try and tell him and his wife at the same time. So I tell him, sir, is your wife home right now? Can we talk together? Can I come in? Man invites me in, and he says, I'll be right back. And he goes to get his wife. And he walks away with that look, man, that you know that he knows this is not going to be a good night. And as I stand there and he walks away, I start looking around this family room. And this family room is a shrine to the young man I just saw in this field. There are pictures everywhere. Disney trips, pictures when he played little kid soccer, pictures from his high school football team. All this stuff is on the wall. There's a shelving unit filled. Trophies from this big to that big, medals, certificates, pictures, everything. And you know what hits me? Again, I may be a cop, guys, but I can't stop being a dad because I got my own kids. And I look at those pictures and I realize there will never be another picture from this day forward that young man is in, ever. This family will never be the same. It will never be mom, dad, sister, brother. It will always be mom, dad, sister, brother doesn't exist anymore. And you feel like crap because that's what you got to tell these people. So I collect myself. They come back in the room, sit down, and I tell them, This evening we were called to a wooded area outside of Vernon Hills where we found your son deceased from an apparent drug overdose. Doesn't even catch the word deceased. I mean, deceased means dead, but it skips right by him because no parent wants to hear that. And he says to me, okay, well, where do I have to go to get him? I mean, what hospital is he in? Now I realize I got to say it again. So I'm like, sir, your son is apparently the victim of a drug overdose, and he's at the Lake County morgue. He passed away sometime earlier today. And then he got it. And you want to know how I know he got it? Because he stood up off the couch and took that entire shelving unit and threw it across the room. Trophies and medals and everything everywhere, and just screamed in a rage. I'd never heard any man screaming. And I get it. I get that feeling. So I calmed him down as best I could, while his wife bawled in a chair so much she couldn't stand. And I told them they had to come with me to identify their son's body. So then I take him to my squad car. Now, you guys have seen that, right, outside? With the cage in it and that back seat made of plastic, so if somebody decides to urinate in my car, I can wash it out. And that's where I got to put these people. I got to put them in the cold back seat of my squad car. Drive them all the way to Waukegan. Then I got to take them into a building where they're going to look through a window, much like the picture window on the front of your house. But on the other side of that window, there's no beautiful nature. There's no kids playing in the front yard. On the other side of that window is their son's body on a metal table, wrapped up to its neck in a sheet. And I got to open the window and watch them fall apart all over again while they identify their child and say, yes, that is our son. Okay? Then I got to turn the body over to the funeral home, and that's the last contact I have to have with those people. But I'll never forget it, because you know what I realized at that moment is something I hope you remember. The decision that young man made was the most selfish decision in the world, because all he thought about from the moment he started using drugs till the moment he overdosed was himself. So I'm telling you guys, and part of the reason we have this today is, put these tools in place. Have a plan. Know how to say no. Pick your friends. Your friends should never grab you by the ankles and pull you under. They should hold you up. Pick your friends. Be ready to say no and be strong enough to keep it no. And take care of yourself. And think about your family before you make those decisions. All right, thank you for your attention today.